Do you have many decks like I do? If somebody came to you today and said, you're only allowed to have 10 decks, which decks would you choose? Which decks could you not live without? That is exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you my 10 absolute can't be without decks. From number 10 all the way to number 1. Stick around and let's do it. Deck number 10, you guys. This is a very special deck. We love the Pagan OtherWorlds Tarot by Uzi. Now, you guys, this is not a perfect deck. That's why it's on number 10. But it is one of those decks that I keep going to time and time again. This deck I've gotten about 3 years ago, I think, and ever since I use it. I go to it all the time. It gives me precise readings and I enjoy working with it tremendously. This is the box. It comes in a talk box like this. And this is the back of the cards. It is, of course, reversible. And these cards are absolutely beautiful, you guys. Absolutely stunning. For those of you that don't know this deck, this is one of those absolutely beautiful decks. And it comes also with a book. Well, it doesn't come with a book. At least for me, it didn't. I had to buy the book separate. And you don't have to buy it. You can just buy the cards without the book. I wanted to have the book because I wanted to have a little bit more notion of what the meanings of these particular cards were. And of course, this is RWS. And of course, we all know the meanings of the cards. Not all. For those of us that have been working the tarot for a while, we know what the meanings are. But I always like to know what the creator intended for these cards. And there's nothing better than reading what they write about the cards. And so I got this book and I like it. I'm glad that I got it. It's extra money. This is not a cheap deck. It is one of those decks that you can pretty much get in many, many places. And so, once again, it is not a cheap deck. Here on the book, you get a picture of the card and then you get a description of the card. It's pretty straightforward, the book. And that's a beautiful book, actually, that they put out. And so I'm glad that I got it. And this is the deck. Let me show you what this deck looks like. When it comes to size, it is pretty much, it's not pretty much standard size, but it is pretty much standard size. I have to say it's a bit longer and it's a bit wider, but it's not terribly big and it's not small. I like the size. It's a very convenient size. And the drawings are just beautiful on this deck, you guys. If you don't know this deck, if you don't have this deck, this is just an absolutely stunning deck. And so the printing is beautiful on it and the messages are clear. As you can see, some of the cards are peep cards and I'm not into peep cards, but on such a beautiful deck, I will take it. And I have to say that once in a while, I like to get a peep card because it just kind of keeps me on my toes. I'm so used to seeing images on the minor arcana that when I don't see, an RWS image on my cards, I need to think, right? It's not the same thing looking at the 9 of Wands on here than looking at the 9 of Wands on the RWS. But it comes with a couple of extra cards and it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely stunning. Now, there is one downside to this deck and this is why it's number 10 and it's not on the first 5. The paper stock is not the paper stock that I would prefer. This paper stock is that linen paper stock and it's very slippery. So when I work with this paper stock, it just slips out of my fingers. It is hard for me to control it. And this is one of the things that I don't like about this deck. And that's just my personal thing. There is people that just love this cardstock. They say that it falls really well on their hands and they don't really have a problem working with it. Okay. And But for me, it doesn't work. It just goes all over the place. But nevertheless, this, when you want to do a fan situation, works absolutely perfect because it is very slippery. And so if you are thinking about doing a fan situation, then that works perfectly. This is the Eight of Swords. Then we have the Eight of Coins. Judgment is here. And once again, I just really like the images on this deck. You know, it looks like it was hand painted, and it looks actually, because of the texture of the paper, it looks like they're mini paintings, really. And I've said this before in some of my other videos. I'm so attracted to artwork, and this is truly a piece of artwork. So this whole deck is absolutely stunning. So this is the Pagan OtherWorlds Tarot, and this is my number 10 deck. Moving on to number 9. Earth Magic Tarot. The Hermetic Prophecies by Daniel Martin Diaz. This is a deck that I've had for about 2.5 years, and this is a deck that that I first saw on YouTube. Actually, somebody was reviewing this deck, and I completely fell in love with it. And after falling in love with the deck, I fell in love with Martin's artwork, because he is an artist, and he doesn't only do decks, but he does there's artwork that he sells on his website. I bought this directly with him on his website, and there's artwork that he has on his website, and he makes a couple of other really beautiful things. He's just absolutely an amazing artist. So, and this is the tarot deck that he did and that he produced, and it is just beautiful. The images are intriguing. They're images like I've never seen before. They are warm. They're not, this is the Earth Magic card that comes with the deck, but this is the Two of Cups, and it's just one of those really warm decks. And actually, the book is absolutely beautifully written. Unfortunately, the book doesn't come included with the deck. The book I had to buy separate. I don't know if other retailers sell it all together or not, but I had to buy it separate, meaning I had to pay separate. And I'm glad that I paid for it and that I bought it, because it's actually a really nice book and it's very well written. You get a picture here of the card, and then you get the meaning here on the other side. And it's just really well written. So not only do I enjoy working with this deck, but I also enjoy very much reading the messages that I get from this book. It's really wonderful to read exactly what the creator of the deck intended for these cards. And so it's very refreshing when I get a very nice book. And this is a very nice quality that they have done here. This is that rose petal feeling, and it's just absolutely stunning, and it's definitely worth to get the book. So if you are thinking of getting the deck, or if you think that you might want to get this deck, this is definitely one that you may want to get also the book. I love the Nine of Wands on this deck. On this deck. It looks like he's spent, right? It looks like really there's not much of him left, or her for that matter. The Seven of Swords. And once again, you know, these are some peep cards we see here, right? But nevertheless, you guys, I really don't mind. It's just such a interesting deck. I think it's so creative. It's something like I've never seen before. And so it's extremely original. I really give this deck an A+ for originality. And so Temperance, the Tower, King of Coins, just absolutely fabulous. The back of the cards looks like this, and it is reversible. The size of the cards is pretty much standard size. I would say it's a little bit bigger than standard size, but that's what it looks like. And so the only one thing that I would say that doesn't go with me with this deck is the cardstock that they chose. This cardstock is the same cardstock as my last deck. The Pagan OtherWorlds has the same paper quality, and it's just hard to handle. It's very slippery. It's that linen quality paper like the other one has that I just showed you. And it's hard to handle this paper stock. It goes all over the place, and so I have to be very careful when I shuffle these cards, make sure that they don't go everywhere or flying around. Look at that devil card. Isn't that fabulous, huh? And so this is the only downside that I see to this deck. And, you know, that's just my thing. It might work for you. Some people love the way that this deck shuffles. Some people really enjoy working with this paper stock or this card stock. I don't like it so much. It's just a bit too slippery. But as you can see, there's no problem. You can shuffle the cards. And if you want to do a fan situation, well, that just works absolutely perfect, as you can see. And so there's the Page of Coins. There's the Queen of Coins. Very, very pretty. Super pretty. There's the Five of Coins. There's the 10 of Coins. Just interesting all around. Really beautiful. So that is my number 9. I Can't Live Without deck. And we are going to move on to deck number 8. Now we come to deck number 8. Deck number 8 is Tarocco Soprafino by Il Menenghello. I've had this deck for about 3 years. I love this deck. You know, I sometimes, and I love the new decks, but I also love the old decks. And I love a historical deck once in a while on my hands. And this one does exactly just that. The pictures are beautiful. The paper is beautiful. These are all handmade. If you don't know Il Menenghello is located in Milano, Italy. And they produce these handmade decks that are absolutely beautiful. These are reproductions, of course, of the real decks, because these are all historical decks. And they are just absolutely beautiful. The cards are uneven because they make them by hand. And it just is one of those decks that I just go back to time and time again. And you can see the images are super classical images. And this deck just speaks to me and gives me a straight answer all the time. I like decks that give me a straight answer. And although this is a peep deck, I don't really mind it because it's just beautiful. This one just sort of strengthens the knowledge of tarot for me. And the images are just absolutely wonderful. They really speak to me. Look at that Diavolo. That's the devil, of course, and the Two of Cups. There's the priestess, the high priestess. Then we have the Page of Coins and the Page of Swords. There's Justice. There is the Ace of Swords, and so on and so on. And of course, this one, you've probably seen this image before. This is a very famous image. And so this deck was created by Ferdinando Gumpenberg. And it's considered to be the most ingenious innovator and creator in the field of playing card makers in the 19th century Italy. So I just read out of the paper there. A little bit of history for you guys. It's just wonderful, really. And you see how it has like this marks as if it was old. It looks like that they did that on purpose. And so, you know, it's just absolutely beautiful. The paper quality is amazing, you guys. It's wonderful. It shuffles so well. You can just go for days about it. It's a small deck. So if we compare it to a Lo Scarabeo, you see that this is a small card. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And it shuffles really well, and it's easy if you want to travel. You can take it with you, so it's very convenient, and it's just beautiful. It does beautiful readings. So fan situation is okay. It's not the best, but it works really well. Justice again. So this has been happening to me a lot with the tarot, with my tarot readings. I've been pulling the same cards time and time and time and time again. And today it just happened again. So that is the Tarocco Soprafino by Il Menenghello, you guys. Beautiful deck. Deck number 7. Toth Tarot by Alistair Crowley and Frida Harris. This is by AGM Urania, and this is the large version of it. So you guys, I haven't been working with Toth for a long time. I just discovered Toth and I immediately fell in love with it. Really, it's just one of those things. It was love at first sight. I love the drawings. I love the meanings of the cards. It's just, I feel like I was just reintroduced to tarot by getting into the Toth. So it's just become one of my favorites. And so I actually use it almost every day these days, you guys. This one, of course, comes with a small booklet, which is pretty useful. Then it comes with this card here. It's like a signed card, publication in Class B, OTO issued by order. And this deck is really cool because it comes with a picture of him and it comes with a picture of her. So if you were wondering what they look like. And these are the cards, you guys. Now, the paper quality for this card is very good. It could be maybe on the thinner side, but it's okay. For me, it's okay. And as I said, this is the larger version. So if you compare it to like a regular Los Scarabeo, this is how much bigger this is. So, and I've fallen in love with the images on this tarot deck. I can't stop looking at them, and it's the colors and it's the images and what they say to me. And I love this one also because not only does it have the name of the card, this is the Emperor, of course, but it also, for some of them, it gives you a keyword, which for me has been wonderful because I'm just learning the Toth. So this one is the 2 of Wands and it says Dominion. And it also has here the astrological sign, right? So interference is the 8 of Swords. Peace is the 2 of Swords. Satiety, it's the 10 of Cups, and so on and so on. And it goes like that. And it's just one of those decks that I'm just amazed by these days. So in terms of shuffling, of course, these are larger cards. So I have to shuffle them like this. But at the end of the day, it's really not a problem. I managed to shuffle them. And if you want to do a fan situation, that works really well because it's rather thin paper stock, and so it spreads pretty well. So if you look here, we have defeat, right? The 5 of Swords. I'm really into the pictures. Not only do I find it beautiful, but I find it super interesting. This is Ruin, which is the 10 of Swords. What else do we have here? Let's pull a couple more cards. This one just came out. Knight of Swords. It's almost like he's flying. You see that? He's got this sort of thing like a helicopter would. And it looks like he's flying because there's birds down here. It's really amazing. That tells you how fast he's going, the Knight of Swords. This is the Tower. I don't have to say anything about that, right? I don't think anybody has to say anything about it. I think that the imagery is so abstract and so beautiful. I can't get enough of this deck. And I can't get enough of the drawings. And I just think it is absolutely brilliant. Adjustment. So, 8 of Swords. And so that's the Toth deck. you guys. That is my number 7 deck on the list right now of I can't live without decks. Number 6, you won't believe it, but it is a Rider-Waite Smith, but it is the giant one. You guys, I work with this deck every single day, and I'm going to tell you what I do with this deck. And this is one of my favorite decks. I love big cards. For those of you that are new here, big cards are my thing. Meaty cards are my thing. So, of course, this deck really, really does it for me. And a lot of people say, how can you shuffle it? How can you work with it? It's so big. I love the fact that it's big, and I work with it every single day. I pull one of these huge cards, and I make it my card of the day. And that's what I do with this deck, and it just works perfectly. Of course, these images you have seen time and time again, but look how big this deck is, you guys. This is huge, and I just love it. Paper stock is really good on this deck as well. This is the back of the card, and paper stock is really, really good. I really like the paper stock a lot. I've had it for about a year. I use it every single day, and it still looks like new, so I'm really happy about that. And it's just one of those decks that is just so clear. It tells you exactly what I need, what you need to know, or what I need to know. And the images are, it's not the best printing. It is by US Games, by the way, US Game Systems. And it is not the best printing, but it really does it, you guys. I mean, if they had another RWS Smith that is as big as this one, and if there is one out there, you guys, please let me know, because I'm going crazy looking for a huge one. And this is the only one I can find. Is there another deck out there that is as big as this or bigger? For the RWS? If there is, please let me know. And these images you've seen time and time again, and I love this deck because it is a meditation deck for me. I use it every single day. I pull my card of the day, and I will study that card, and it just works absolutely perfect. So there is not much to say about this deck other than I love it. And if you try to do well, of course, shuffling can be a challenge, huh? But if you ask me, I shuffle it like this. Yeah, it's kind of hard, but it works. And so you just shuffle it like this. And if you want to do a fan situation, it works really well with this deck. Let me show you. Look at this. Beautiful fan situation, right? And so you can, I mean, people say, how can you do readings with this? I do readings with it. Why not? I mean, it works really well. Yeah, the shuffling can be a little bit of a challenge, but other than that, it works really, really well. And it's huge. And so this you can also use as a clarifier if you want. I've used this as a clarifier a couple of times, and my, do you get an answer? And do you get a clarification? And so this is the giant Rider-Waite tarot deck. And it's really easy to find. You can find it almost everywhere. Everybody has it. Amazon has it. It's not expensive. And this is just one of those decks that you could use as a meditation deck or as a clarifier deck. There's many ways you can use this deck. Deck number 5, Terra, Volatile. This deck is one of those decks that I cannot live without, at least at the moment, you guys. It comes in a box like this. It is pretty sturdy. It opens here through a magnet, and the creators of this deck are absolutely brilliant. The tarot deck by Credo Quia Absurdum, and it is actually an indie deck, and I got mine delivered all the way from Portugal. And so I've had this deck. This deck is recent for me. I've had this deck for about a year. And with this deck also, I bought the book. And the book is like the other two decks, doesn't come together with the deck. I mean, it doesn't come in a package. So it doesn't mean that when you buy this, you get this. No. So I had to buy the book separate. Or you can buy just the deck It's up to you. The book is absolutely stunningly beautiful, and it's huge, as you can see. Look, these are the cards and this is the book. The book is huge. So, and of course I needed to get it because the illustrations are so absolutely fantastic on this deck. This is just one of those decks that you can look at for days. It just goes on and on. The book is absolutely beautifully illustrated, and it's beautifully written as well. The deck comes with extra cards, and so you can change. I think it comes with some of the major arcanas, and there's a couple of other minor arcanas that you can replace. And it has another set of so it has the coins, it has the wands, it has the cups, it has the swords, but it also has the vessels, as you can see here. And so it's a thicker deck, and it's absolutely stunning and interesting, and the images on this deck are eclectic and at the same time familiar, with a touch of modern and a touch of old, and it's a raw deck, and it just speaks to you with the truth. It tells me the truth all the time, and it doesn't hide around. It's one of those decks that just tells you what you need to hear, whether you want to hear it or not. And it's just a raw one. And sometimes you'll see an image that you probably not want to see, but it doesn't matter. That's what you got. And so this deck is just one of those decks that always puts me in my place. And it's always going to tell me exactly what I need to hear, and not what I want to hear necessarily, but what I need to hear. So, beautiful book. I totally needed to get this book. I haven't finished reading it yet. And these are the cards. So let's take the cards out. I'm going to show you. All things change, and we change with them. So this is the box. It's a nice box. It's a nice addition to my bookshelf. I really like this box. And these are the cards. Really, really beautiful cards. Page of Wands, King of Wands, King of Cups. I love the colors of it. The printing is really well done on this deck, and it's just a quality deck. There is just one minor problem. To follow the same trend that we've been talking about, Death card, and I'm going to tell you all about it in a minute. The Seven of Coins. This is the Six of Swords, and it's just beautiful, as you can see. This is the Two of Vessels. Look at this tower, wow. And it's just one of those decks that you can really look at for a long time. It really has a lot to say, and it's just one of those decks that will always tell you what you need to hear, whether you want to hear it or not. And this is a deck that I like to go to on an often basis. I reach out for this deck very often, and I enjoy working with this deck. And I also like to referring to this book when I use this deck. You know, I don't have the book all the time with me because it is a big book. I mean, this book is almost 500 pages. But, you know, whenever I have the book around, I will grab the book and I will read what they have to say about the cards, because I find it absolutely interesting, and they put so much effort into this deck that how could you not, right? So that is the Terra Volatile. The back of the card is reversible. So if you work in reverse, it's really nice. The size of the card is pretty much like the cards that we've been looking at. So yeah, well, actually, nah, it's not actually. See, this is more like Scarabeo, like the Low Scarabeo. So, and by the way, you guys, they're coming with a new edition at the end of summer, and I already went to the website and pre-ordered because I think they're only going to have limited copies. So a fellow reviewer told me about it on YouTube, and I'm so glad that he did, because I went immediately to the website and I ordered it. I didn't want it. I wanted to make sure that I got my copy, you know, so I'm really happy about that. So beautiful deck. Now, you're probably wondering, Robert, what is wrong with this deck? Why is this deck number 5? This deck is number 5 because it's that linen paper and it's that very slippery paper or cardstock. And, you know, it's my luck, right? How can it be that such beautiful decks are on this sort of paper stock or cardstock? I don't know, but some of my favorite decks have this cardstock. For me, it's not the best paper to work with. See, they just kind of, it's hard for me to work it. It just slips everywhere, but you can still manage it. But the 9 of vessels, but it's hard. I mean, it's very slippery. Now, if you want to do a fan situation with this, look at this. You can do that for days. It just spreads so well. Page of vessels. Death. This is one of my favorite death cards. And that's the picture that they used for the box, and that's also the picture that they used for the book. And I can see why they used it, because it is absolutely beautiful. Look at that Ace of Wands. Is that just beautiful or what? This is just so artistic. It's just one of those decks that it's a piece of artwork, and I'm very attracted to artwork. This is one of the reasons why I picked this deck, because I wanted to really look at artwork. When I look at my tarot decks and when I do my readings, and whether I'm doing it for somebody else or I'm doing it for myself, I really like it to be artistic. And the images say 1,000 words to me. And there's decks that speak to me and there's decks that don't speak to me. Of course, the decks that I'm showing you today totally speak to me. And I will do a video of those decks that don't speak to me. But really, really a beautiful deck. It's not a cheap deck. It's not everywhere either. I will link the website, their website, so that if you want to buy, you can go directly with them. But it is absolutely beautiful, and that is number 5. That is the Terra Volatile. Number 5, I can't live without. Deck number 4. These are, by the way, really, really cute bags. I get these bags through a lady in England, and she makes them. They're handmade. And it's sort of linen cotton material. They're expensive, but they're actually very beautiful. And so I bought them through Etsy, so you can find them. You can find them at Etsy, and they took a while to get to me because they come all the way from England, but it was worth the wait. The new classic Tarocchi by Mr. Friborg. Now, this deck comes in a tuck box like this, as you can see. The tuck box is okay. I have to say it's a pretty okay tuck box, really. And this is published by arcantvm.com. This is the first edition, first printing. So really, really very fabulous deck, you guys. At the beginning of my experience with this deck, I wasn't really sure about it. I'll show you what these cards are all about in a minute. But this was a deck that I wasn't really sure about getting at the beginning. And then I can't tell you how happy I am to have it. I mean, I can't live without it. So it comes with a small book like this. And this book is pretty small. It has an introduction, it has a couple of spreads, and then it goes really into the major and minor arcana. And that's pretty much it. It's a small little book. The whole theme of this deck is skulls, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. But and I will show you some of the cards now. Now, These cards are almost perfect. That's why they're number 5. They're almost perfect. They have absolutely amazing paper stock. And I have a full review of this deck on the channel, but this paper stock is one of my favorite paper stocks of all times. I just love the way it feels. And you know, and this is also a linen stock. I can see that right away, but it's just completely different than the other card stock that we just reviewed. This one doesn't slip. This one actually holds pretty sturdy. It is a thicker sort of card stock, and it just gives you a completely different feeling. When it comes to shuffling this deck, it just doesn't get any better than this. It just shuffles so well, and it just feels perfect on my hands. And so paper quality is amazing. And now to the pictures or the images are absolutely beautiful. You know, I said this on the review, but I'll say it again. At the beginning of my journey with this deck, I wasn't really sure if it was going to really resonate with me or not because of the skulls. I had a problem that every single face was a skull, and so I didn't know if that would cloud my journey or my vision when reading with this deck, because it seemed to me like I would focus too much on the skull, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's like we've got acquainted, and now it is what it is, and I accept it, and so I'm okay with that. And it's just it's absolutely beautiful. The printing is beautiful. It's total quality. This is not an inexpensive deck. This is going to cost you some money, and it's not available everywhere. I get a lot of my decks from a German website, and I'm going to link their website also. So you can go in there and you can check out what they have, because they don't have a lot of decks, but whatever they have, they picked very carefully, and it's very tasteful. So maybe you want to go into their website and check them out. They're absolutely great. See, these are the cards, and look at this devil card. Just looks amazing. This is the Queen of Wands. This is the King of Coins. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Star. We have La Luna, the Moon. And some of these are peep cards, and I said this on my other on the review as well. Even though they're peep cards, I think this deck has some of the most beautiful peep cards I've ever seen. And this deck is a collection of different decks. So he actually says it here on the introduction. So he's gathered different decks and different drawings, and he's converted them sort of into his own. So a lot of these decks you will see in, for example, the Mantegna and or the neoclassical, the Italian. You'll see a lot of these images there. So a lot of these images will be familiar to you after looking at them. Or Minciate, this is definitely Minciate. And which brings me now to this Tarocchi expansion pack. And if you want to make your tarot deck into a Minciate, you can. And you can buy these separate. And of course, I had to do it. I like Minciate. I'm not totally into Minciate, but I like it. I read with it a couple of times, and I find it to be fun. And this is the Minciate deck. You see, we just saw that card, didn't we? This is, if you want to make it into Minciate, you get the extension pack. And then you get the Minciate. I like it. I like it very much. I like everything about this deck. The drawings, the printing, the paper stock, the size, everything. The back of the card is reversible, by the way, so you can work with this in reverse. Just a very good deck. This is why it's number 4. And I would not want to live without this one, you guys. This is definitely one of my favorite decks. And so, look at these peep cards. Aren't they amazing? I love this Ace of Wands, the 2 of Wands, and I love the peep cards here. And I usually don't like peep cards, but I like these peep cards. Fante di Bastone, the 10 of Wands, the 9 of Cups, the 7 of Cups. It's just beautiful, and I love the colors of it. So there you have it, you guys. It's the Tarocchi by Mr. Friborg. So let's move on to our next deck. Deck number 3. Oh, I love this deck. Love, love, love this deck. And you know, this is the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno, and this is the illustrated edition. He has 2 editions. He has a photographed one and he has the illustrated one. I chose to get the illustrated one. You know, I've had a love-hate relationship with this deck, and of course now it's love. It's number 3 on my Can't Be Without decks. When I first got this deck, I didn't really understand it. I couldn't relate to it, and it just didn't speak to me. It's been over the years, because I've had this deck for about 2 years now. It's been over time that we've gotten acquainted with each other, and we've gotten so well acquainted with each other that now it's become my number 3 I can't be without. I really have learned to identify with this deck. This deck speaks to me. This deck and I chat with each other all the time. And you know, when I first got this deck, and by the way, it comes in a box like this. The box is beautiful. Presentation on this deck is really fabulous. As you can see here, he has an image. It closes as a magnet here, and it opens this way. It comes with a booklet, and here it says, this is the back of the box, right? And it says, explore the world of tarot through the visions of Nicholas Bruno, an artist who transformed his dreams and nightmares into surreal imagery. Each artwork in the Somnia Tarot Illustrated Edition will give you a journey through dreamscapes, traditional archetypes, and the realm of the subconscious. It is such an interesting tarot, and like I said at the beginning, I just couldn't relate to it. I had no idea what I was looking at, and it kind of scared me, actually. And well, now it's a different story. It comes with a little booklet like this. Like I said, presentation is really beautiful. It's not an inexpensive deck. I got it directly through Bruno. Bruno sent it to me from New York. I think he's based in New York State. And I'm a fan of Bruno. If you look at what Bruno does, is he pretty much does everything. So there is a video on YouTube of Bruno where he creates his own sets and he shoots his own pictures and he just builds everything himself. He is so talented that I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. He's amazing, and I'm so happy that this deck is in my collection, and I'm so forever thankful. It's a very deep deck, and I have really gotten to connect with it in a very profound way, and I'm very happy about that. It is a deep deck. When it comes to the cards themselves, as you can see, they're gilded in a beautiful gold. By the way, if I don't mention gilt, guys, it's because there is none. But this cardstock is absolutely beautiful. The cards are reversible, so you can use them in both ways. But this paper stock, this cardstock, is one of the best cardstocks that I've ever had on my hands. It's better than the Mr. Friborg because the paper is just absolute quality. Everything is well done with this deck. The printing, the paper, the presentation, the pictures, the colors. It's just done almost in perfection. And so this is my number 3 deck, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. I love this deck. And yes, of course, it's RWS inspired, but not really. Not really. When you look at these images, you don't see, if you're starting with tarot and you're learning the RWS, probably this is a deck that you're going to have to get acquainted with, because it is hard to read. And the first time that I got this deck, and I thought, oh, what is this? And I found it to be like a little bit scary, because I didn't know what I was looking at. And then you have this characters with a full sheet on them and a rope tied around their neck, but these are his dreams, you know. So this is the Wands. This is the Ten of Wands. King of Coins. Look, isn't this, I mean, it's just a strange image for me, and it's not a very it's not one of those images that I can totally relate to, and it kind of made me feel insecure and uncomfortable when I first looked at it. I must be honest. I didn't feel comfortable with the images on this deck. The Hangman, I really didn't. But then now I just totally do, and they speak to me. And this is one of those decks that you can do shadow work with. It's great for shadow work, but I do complete readings with this deck, you guys. I do clarifiers with this deck. Look at that Ten of Swords. Really amazing. It looks like he's already in the coffin. And then there's this piece of cloth falling down, and I don't know what it's doing there, and so there's the Hierophant. And so that is the Somnia Tarot, you guys. It shuffles just absolutely wonderful. I mean, this is dream paper, dream cardstock, absolute dream. Congratulations to Bruno. He's an absolute fabulous deck here, and I just love it. I like it so much that I even thought about getting the other version, but I'm not ready for the other one yet. I'm still getting acquainted with this one. We're acquainted already, but I'm still into this one, and I don't want to get the other one yet. I want to give this one some time. I want to give it some time alone. I don't want to date anybody else yet. So, if we do a fan situation, it works okay. See, look at these images. This is the Magician, right? I mean, he's facing the other way, so he's giving us his back. Interesting. The Ace of Swords. Nice Ace of Swords. Here we have the Ten of Coins. Ace of Coins. Two of Coins. Seven of Coins. So you guys, that is the Somnia Tarot by Nicolas Bruno, and it is absolutely beautiful, and I totally recommend this deck. I wouldn't want to be without it. So let's keep going, you guys. Do you have some of these decks already? Would some of this be your one of your number 10? Let me know in the comments. Deck number 2, and this happens to be an Oracle deck. I like Oracle decks, but my main thing is tarot decks. I like the Oracles sometimes, not on an everyday basis. This Oracle deck has made it to number 2. It must be special. And guess what? It is very special. This Wisdom of the Shadow deck I find extremely deep, extremely comforting. It tells me all the time exactly what I'm going through. It's amazing. And sometimes it talks to me and it tells me what I'm going through without me knowing what I'm going through. And this is what this Wisdom of the Shadow does. This is a oracle for self-discovery, soul work, and transformation. And it really, really is. This one is by Jenny Han and Jessica Ricchetti. And it is published by Intuitive Art and Alchemy. But you can go to intuitivealchemy.com, www, you can find it there. But this is a deck that you can find in many websites, not only there, but when I can get my decks, I didn't get my deck directly with them. It's not an expensive deck, so it's very affordable. It comes in a hard box like this. Welcome, Wise One. Within you lies a gold mine of truth, ready to be discovered and integrated. With an open mind and a courageous heart, it is time to enter the mystery of the shadow, to uncover the wisdom waiting to be revealed. And it comes with a book, And the book is beautifully written. I really enjoy reading the book, and most of the times when I take my cards, I choose to read the book with them. And you don't have to, because the cards are pretty self-explanatory, but I do choose to read the book because the book is really well written. So I enjoy this book very much. Good quality, great book. Let's take a look at the cards. They come in a box like this. I already kind of showed you the box, but this is the box. It's a nice sturdy box there. And here are the cards. The cards are gilded in a black. It's absolutely beautiful. And this is beautiful cardstock. This cardstock is like Bruno's cardstock, the Somnia Tarot. It's almost the same, I would say. And I love this cardstock. So I'm very, very pleased with this cardstock. They shuffle beautifully. And I forget how many cards are in here, but 44. So it's not a lot. So you can easily handle them. And they shuffle really, really well. They're sort of heavy, but at the same time not. I mean, it's just really beautiful cardstock. And it just really, the drawings on this deck are absolutely beautiful and stunning. And not only that, but they really touch deep inside. And so if you're looking for a deck that's going to like go in and really tell you what's going on inside, this might be the deck that you're looking for. So as you can see, Intrusion, and I have a full review of this deck on the channel. You can look at it, but this is a beautiful deck. Inner Child, just absolutely beautiful. Boundaries, and it's just one of those decks. The pictures are absolutely stunning. The paper quality is great. Rising printing is wonderful on this deck. And Dissolution, and the book is written beautifully. So number 2, you guys, and we're getting ready to discover what number 1 is. Number 1 is the Druid Craft Tarot deck. And you know what's so interesting about this is that I did not get this deck until recently. I saw it so many times and I kept skipping it, and I kept buying other decks and I kept skipping this one, and I didn't know that it was going to end up on my number 1 list of decks I can be with, at least for the moment. This one is by Philip and Stephanie Carr Gom, and it's illustrated by Will Worthington. And this one is the Red Wheel edition. This is the latest one that they have out. I know that they have other editions where the box is bigger, but I have this edition here. And I'm kind of glad that I do, because it's not a big box and I didn't really want to get a big box. But I know that the other one comes with a much better book. This book is sort of concentrated, and I heard that people that have the other book prefer the other book much better than this one. And for me, this is enough. It has enough information in there for me to get acquainted with the deck and with the characters on this deck. And so this one is just fine. It's good quality. It's like a paper rose, like a rose petal. And the cards are big, which I just absolutely love. And so this is the box. It breaks into 2 pieces, and it's a nice card box. It's very nice. Goes well on the bookshelf. And these are the cards. Now, you know, I'm not so into shiny cards, and this is a really shiny card. But, you know, at the end of the day, I really don't mind it, that it is so shiny. I mean, the finger marks go all over it. And if that's something that bothers you, then that is something that's going to bother you with this deck. But, you know, I had no idea that I was going to connect so much with the drawings on this deck. One of the things that I really find interesting about this deck is that no matter if you're starting with tarot, no matter if you're seasoned, no matter what or where you are on your path with tarot, this is a deck that everybody, I think, not everybody, but I think this is a deck that a lot of people will identify with. And so it just, the drawings are great, the images are crisp, the printing on it is really, really good. And I'm just totally happy with it. And every time I read with this deck, I get my message. And there is no confusion. There is no confusion. I get exactly what I need to get. Of course, it's RWS inspired, and you can really see it, right? This is for this is a different card to the RWS. This one is Cernunos. Some of them have different names, but it's all pretty much the same. The sun, death, and this death card I always found so interesting. And you know, and this image is totally beautiful. I can tell you that there's other decks where I find the images even more beautiful than this. But there's just something about this deck that just really speaks to me. And so this is the reason why this became number one. The size of the cards is also wonderful. The thickness of the cardstock is absolutely amazing. This is a reversible card, so you can do it one way or the other. And just the colors are absolutely stunning, you guys. I can't say enough. But once again, are these the best drawings that I have seen for a tarot deck? Probably not, but it gets to be number one because I get to identify with this deck like there is no tomorrow. It is so clear to me. The images come so clear, and I get my message loud and clear. And that is exactly what I love about this deck. And the colors are beautiful as well, even though I've heard that there is other editions, of course, and the other editions have other colors. But, you know, I don't really mind this one. They are bigger cards, so you have to shuffle them like this. And although this is a mass-produced deck, you guys, it was a pleasure opening this guys up. I did an unwrapping on the channel too on this deck already, so you can go in there and take a look at it if you just want to look at this deck. But it is just like, I loved it, and it was love at first sight. And I hesitated for so long to get in this deck. It took me so long to get it, but I finally got it. It is not gilded. I've seen some people, they've just made it borderless. I don't do any of that, and I will not do that to this deck. Anyway, I like big cards, so why would I do that? Why would I make them smaller? So, and the border doesn't really bother me that much, but look at those colors. Isn't that beautiful? The red and the green, and it's just beautiful. You can see the sunset there in the back. Absolutely. I love all the green in there, and it just gives you that whole Irish feel to it. And I'm happy that I have it. I love it. I can't even think without living without this deck now. So I'm really happy that it's on my collection, and I will keep working with this deck for a long time. You guys, that was my 10 most I can't live without decks. I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know what decks you have. Let me know which ones you find interesting, which ones you disagree with. Let me know what your comments are. I also want to know what your 10 can't live without decks are. Let me know. And you guys, as always, thank you for watching. Ciao.